So number one, what is the axis of symmetry? Well, using words like up, down, left, and right, how did this graph get shifted? Left 9, down 2. I'm not so concerned with the down 2. I'm bringing it up because it's there. But this graph went left 9. That means the center is now at -9. So it's x equals -9. That's where the center that divides the parabola in half would be. It would be this thing. This is your axis of symmetry. You don't have to draw that. I'm just illustrating for you what it is. So you really just need to look at the left-right shift. Vertex. This graph went right 5, up 8. So that would be 5, 8. All right, write this in vertex form. First thing you're going to do is take out the 3 just from the first 2 terms, because we're going to adjust for that last number anyway. All right, so if you take out 3, what would be left from the first 2? Perfect. X squared plus 6x. Here's where you complete the square. What would we add on? Divide by 2 and square. What's that going to give you? 9. Perfect. Again, I recommend using a different color. Now, it's not really a 9. It's really a 3 times 9. So it's really a 27. You have to turn that 27 back into a 31. So what are we going to add on to turn the 27 into a 31? 4. Perfect. Count on your fingers. And so your final answer is going to be 3 times something squared plus 4. I just usually write it out blank, and then you can decide what goes in the blank. And so what's going to go in there? X plus 3. Good. I heard some of you whisper it there. All right, write the equation in standard form. This is really just a lot of multiplying. It goes in the tedious but not difficult category. It's really just distributing a lot of stuff to each other. So that -3 is going to just hang out. We're going to write the x minus 2 twice. And then that -1 is also still just kind of there. And so I call this FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. It's just distributing everything to each other. X times x would be x squared. And then what do the outsides and the insides give you? Good. It will be -2 and -2. So -4x. And then -2 times -2 would be +4. And then we're going to distribute the -3. So that'll be -3x squared plus 12x minus 12. And then minus another one, so good, -13. You can write that as a totally separate step if you want. And when I was teaching it to you, I was doing that. I'm just trying to get you to the point now where if you don't want to write out that last step, you don't have to. Just combine it in your head. All right, number 5, draw the graph of a quadratic that has only one solution. You can draw it however you want, but it means it can only touch the x-axis once. It's going to look like a bounce, like it'll be a twin. So something like that. But what if you drew it touching the x-axis over here? Or what if you drew it at the origin? Those are all fine, as long as it only touches once. And then this one, draw a quadratic that has solutions of -2 and 3. That means you want to go through the x-axis at -2 and 3. So just make your parabola touch at those 2 points. And that's literally, I pretty much threw those on there to just be gimme questions. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how on every test there's like a thank you for attending question? Okay, those are your thank you for attending questions. Thank you for attending. All right, solve by factoring. We're going to have to split this up. You're going to guess and then check it. If you guess wrong, no biggie. We're going to pick something else. We need to split 12. You can do 1 times 12, 2 times 6, or 3 times 4. What do you want to try? Like, we're literally just guessing. 3 times 4. All right, 3x, 4x. And then you're going to split the number at the end. For 6, you can do 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. Again, we are just totally guessing. Which do you want to try? 3 and 2. Okay. Do you want the 3 in the first parenthesis or do you want the 3 in the second parenthesis? There's nothing wrong with being wrong. You just got to guess something. You want the 3 in the second one? 2 times 3? Now that's the guess. We just did the guess. This is the check part of guess and check. Here we're going to check it. What are the outsides given? 3 times 3 is 9, 9x. What are the insides given? 8x. We're trying to get to a 1x in the middle. So are we good? Yes. But if we didn't guess right on the first try, that's okay too. You would just try something else. Now to make it be a positive 1, you would need positive 9. So you need a positive 3 times 3. So 9, and then minus 8. So a negative 2 times 4. Now, don't forget to actually get your answers. You can leave the little rainbows in if you want. I'm just erasing them so I can write the answers in here. You're going to set those equal to 0. So if you set this one equal to 0, you would get what? Good, 2/3. You would add the 2 and then divide by 3. So 2/3. And then this one would be negative because you're going to subtract negative 3/4. And you guys practiced doing that a bunch on the activity that we just did. So that was good. We have to rearrange this one before we can factor it. We're going to subtract over the 8x and just make sure that you put it in the middle. And then what do you notice? If you're a good noticer, you can sort of make the numbers a little bit better. What do you notice about all these? Divide them all by 4. And the beauty of 0 is 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. Because people always ask, where did the 4 go? And I'm like, it's gone. Isn't that great? Like people want to leave it in there. Don't do that. It's better if it's gone because it simplifies the problem. Doesn't that look a whole lot easier? It looks a whole lot easier, right? X squared is just going to be x times x. 3 is going to be what? 3 and 1. And to get a negative 2x in the middle, negative 3, positive 1. And so again, don't forget to get your answers. You would set each of those equal to 0. So you would get 3 and negative 1. I know you're all eager to be through it and everyone's flipping the page, but are you good? Okay, because the goal of the study guide is to make sure that you all do well on your test. So I want you all to do well. The tests are a lot easier for me to grade if all the answers are right. So that's my goal, is to get everybody to have good answers, all right? This is solved by completing the square. This one is already set up for us. Now there's not kind of a gap in there, but I'm gonna kind of just squeeze this in. What would we add to both sides to complete the square? Good, 25. So on this side, we're gonna have something squared. What's the something? Good, x minus 5, perfect. And on this side, negative 5 plus 25 would be 20. So we're going to square root. You'll have x minus 5 equals plus and minus, and now 20 splits. You had one like this on the activity as well. I'm just going to do it off to the side. What numbers will multiply to be 20, but one of them's got to like work? Yeah, 4 and 5. Because I usually get asked, why can't we do 2 and 10? Well, 2 and 10 aren't perfect squares, so it's kind of a dead end. Square root of 4 is 2, so you'll have 2 square root of 5. And then your last step is add the 5 over. All right, what do you notice about the next one? You can divide by 3. Good. Divide everything by 3. And again, the joy of 0 is it will end up being 0. Because everyone's always like, well, where did the 3 go? And I'm like, it's gone. Isn't that awesome? So we're going to add the 6 over and then complete the square. So what would we add to both sides to complete the square? 1. 1 is a little tricky. That throws people off sometimes because 1 squared just is 1. That would just be 1. And so for your something squared in the blank there, you would have x minus 1. And then the side would be 7. And then we're just going to finish that up. So square root, it'll be plus and minus square root of 7. And then last step, add the 1. Still doing okay? All right. Maybe we'll finish the whole thing. Let's see. All right, here's your word problem. A ball goes up in the air, comes back down. Letter A, this is just like on your quiz. It's your quiz 2.0, all right? Find the maximum height, and when that happens, we're going to put units in our answer. What's the little formula? It's negative b over 2a. I'm not making you memorize the entire quadratic formula, just that one little part of it. So b is 6, so we'll have negative 6 over 2a. What is a in this scenario? Negative 1. Good. Nice job, guys. So that would be negative 6 over negative 2, which would be 3. So this point is 3 comma something. You're just going to take 3 and plug it back in. So I'm looking right here. I'm just going to plug 3 back in for the time. 3 squared is 9, but it would be negative. So negative 9 plus 6 times 3 is 18. And then plus 17. So let's see. Negative 9 plus 18 would just be 9 plus 17 be 26. Now we don't talk 3 comma 26. You would say it's 26 feet at times 3 seconds. And again, I always bring up the weather, the maximum temperature. Oh, I got to adjust what I'm saying now because it's getting colder. The maximum temperature is 55 degrees at 2 o'clock. You guys like the colder weather? I like it. No? All right, find the time when the ball hits the ground. If it's on the ground, that means we're going to set this equation equal to 0. Now it won't factor, so we're going to have to complete the square. You're going to start by subtracting over that 17. And you have to factor a negative, or if you want to think of it as a negative 1, you have to factor a negative 1 out of that first part. Here, I'll make it a negative 1. If you factor out a negative 1, you're going to be left with t squared minus 6t. When you mess with a negative, everything just flip-flops its sign. But negatives are hard, so be gentle with yourself, okay? Like, it's difficult. Now, what would you add to complete the square? 9, good. Now here's where you have to be careful. Not really a 9, it is actually a negative 9. So on this side, you're going to put minus 9. The negative just makes it kind of like opposite day. So this is negative 1 times something squared. What will be the something? Yeah, do you remember, like in t minus 3 seconds? It's rocket science. You're all doing rocket science. You are rocket scientists. Rockets go up and come back down. That's what it is. Equals negative 26. These negatives are going to cancel. Here's how I feel is the easiest way to deal with this. Are you ready? Watch. You have a negative on both sides like that. Doop, doop. Or you can even just erase them. They're going to cancel out. Square root. If you put plus and minus, I will not mark that wrong because for heaven's sake, but why did I not put the plus minus? Time, we don't do negative time. And then your last step is add the 3. So 3 plus square root of 26 seconds. And just for reference, so you can understand that actually is like a value. If you do 3 plus square root of 26 in your calculator, you get 8.099. So it's roughly 8 seconds. This is just a more perfect answer because you haven't like chopped off a decimal. Do you guys get that when you like round something off, you're getting a less perfect answer? Like, anyway, that's a more perfect. That's all quadratic stuff. Now we're going to do the polynomial stuff. Using this graph, is the leading coefficient positive or negative? Well, you got a 50-50 shot. What do you think? Positive. It's the right, well, both sides are headed upwards, but it's the right side that you want to look at. Right side is heading up, so positive. Is the degree even or odd? Even. Good. Do you guys remember that? How do you know it's even? Same way. Good. The degree must be at least. Now what you want to do is add up the terms and then add 1. It's the turning points plus 1. So 6. Please make sure that these match. It does drive me a little bonkers when people say even and then put 7 or 5. I'm like, did you read the previous question? I'll be happier even if they're both wrong as long as they match. Okay. Even 6. How many real zeros do we have? So we're going to count how many times this actually touches the x-axis. And this is a bounce, so it counts how many times? Twice. Good. So watch me point to it. This is 2. And then right here is 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you see that? How I got 6? Okay. The bounce counts twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here, I'll make those a different color. Now, if the degree was 18, that means 18 total answers. How many imaginary zeros would you have? Well, if there's a total of 18 and we just said 6 of them are real, how many have to be imaginary? 12. Good. If there's 18 total, we just said 6 of them are real, 12 have to be imaginary. And then these are just yes, no questions. Does f of 1 equal 0? Do we have the point 1, 0 on this graph? No. Here's 1 on the x-axis. It's not touching there. So no. Does f of 4 equal 0? Yes, we have the point 4, 0. Those are all just checking like if you can read the graph. Oh, and this is another thank you for attending question. Nobody missed this one. How many answers would we get from this question? 6. It's just the degree, the highest power. And I like these two. This is doodling. What are the 3 numbers we're going to put on the x-axis? Good. 1, 3, -4. Now, the only thing that is slightly uncomfortable about this is you have to graph right to left. So if you're left-handed, this is your thing. Is the right side going up or down? Down, because we have a negative. So I just always put a little arrow there. And we're going to connect from that arrow to each of these points. It's connect the dots. You just do the correct multiplicity. So when I get from the arrow to this point, that's 3. Put the phone away. That comes from the factor with the 3 in it. That's this one. They're not necessarily going to be in any particular order. So you have to make sure you look at the right one. What are we going to do there? Bounce. Good. It's squared, so act like a parabola. All right, then we're going to connect to the 1. That comes from this factor. There's nothing written, so we understand that's to the first. What does that mean we're going to do there? Yeah, linear. Just go straight through, cross. How far down does this go? No idea, and it doesn't matter. It's like good enough, right? And then at the 4, or -4, excuse me, we're going to wiggle. And remember, if you have trouble drawing that, what did I tell you to do? Just write wiggle. Like make an attempt. Like show me that you tried. But just write the word wiggle next to it. Now people like to check, are the ends going the correct way? You can check by looking at the degree. If you add up these powers, 1 + 2 + 3, you get 6. 6 is even, and they're going the same way. So you can do that to check. All right, synthetic division. What's going to go in the little box? Good. -2 is the countdown in order. No. What are we missing? Squared. So your numbers will be 1, 5, 0, -3, 4. Is this remainder going to be 0? Not necessarily. This is just do the division. We're not finding zeros. We're just practicing doing the division. So bring down the 1, multiply, add until you get to the end. And if your remainder is correct, then I know you did the rest of it correct, because you can't get the right remainder if the rest of it's wrong. Remainder should be -14. Did that go? Okay, because at this point, I don't want to drone out all the numbers and put you all to sleep. All right, what power are we going to start with? To the third. This is to the fourth. We divided out once, so we're going to have one less. It'll be x to the third, and then do your countdown. Plus 3x squared minus 6x plus 9. No matter what this says, always put plus. I have found over the years that saying that is just easier for everybody. Just always make it plus. And then it's that number over what? Yeah, x plus 2, the divisor. Perfect. All right, and here's your one long division. Although this went well on the activities, let's just practice it one more time. The nice thing about this is you knock out 3 columns at once, so it actually won't take that long. And you can't do synthetic division for this because you have a quadratic here. All right, so compare the first terms. What are we going to multiply by first? Good, x squared. I have to compliment you guys too. You remembered your stuff over that 4-day weekend. So very nice job. All right, distribute that through there. It's going to line up nicely with these columns. You'll have x to the fourth minus x to the third plus 5x squared. This is the difficult step because what do you do now? Subtraction is hard because negatives throw everybody off. Negatives are difficult, right? First column will cancel. What's left? Good, -3x cubed. It's -4 plus 1, and then this will be minus. Good, perfect. All right, bring down the -3x. Oh, those are all -3. That's a little weird. And then do it all over again. Again, it's cyclic, all right? What do we multiply by this time? Good, -3x. I'm not going to draw the rainbows because I'm kind of getting really cluttered here, but you're going to distribute a -3x. That'll be -3x cubed plus 3x squared minus 15x. And again, this is the tricky step because you have to subtract. So what's left? I'll give you a hint, it's negative. Good, -6x squared. It's -3 minus 3. I always say think of money. It's like you owe someone $3 and then you owe them $3 more. Now this will be plus 15. So -3 plus 15 be 12x. Bring down the plus 1 more time. What are we going to multiply by for the last time through? Good, -6. Distribute the -6. You'll get -6x squared plus 6x minus 30. Subtract, and whatever you get left here is your remainder, which it will be 6x plus 31. Okay, cool. Thank you for double checking me, because yeah, I am like the teacher, but I'm also a human being and I do mess stuff up too. So I'm sorry to have let you down. All right, plus, and this will be 6x plus 31 over the divisor. But a lot of you are like flipping the page already, so I think that you got it. I'm glad that you guys trust me, but if you think I missed a negative sign or something, please say something, because this has happened before where I'll do this whole long problem and someone will tell me at the end, you missed a negative, like way back when. And then it's like we have to redo the whole thing. I'm glad you trust me, but like if you think I messed up, please say something. All right, how many answers will we get for this? 4. Again, thank you for attending. Now this is still non-calculator. You can't use the calculator for this. That means it's not going to be a synthetic division. You can't type it in and see where it touches the x-axis. Instead, you're just going to set the whole thing equal to 0, and we're going to factor it. So how would you split up x to the 4th? X squared and x squared. Now, I run out of numbers. This one's 144. It'll be smaller than that on your test. But they're going to be perfect squares and add up to 25. So does anyone want to give it a guess what multiplies together to be 144? Because they are both perfect squares. Do you know 2 perfect squares that add up to 25? What are some perfect squares? 4, what else? 16, what else? Okay, you've said them both at this point. There we go. And then what symbols do you want in there? Addition. Again, it'll be smaller on your test. I only have so many perfect squares. And even keeping them small, like the 9 and 16, you still end up with 144. Anyway, you're going to set those equal to 0 and solve them. So subtract the 9, square root. I'm going to write the answer on the line. What do you get from that one? Good, plus or minus 3i. This one, you're going to subtract the 16. Square root, you get plus and minus 4i. We're going to finish. Isn't that awesome? All right, just let me show you on the calculator instead of everyone grabbing a calculator just to like keep things moving here. These are going to be your calculator allowed questions. How many answers will we get from this? 3. Let me go ahead and type it in real quick. All right, I typed it in. I did zoom 6 for standard. We want to find where this touches the x-axis. Here's the unfortunate thing. None of them are on a nice whole number, so we're going to need to calculate. Do you guys remember what menu I'm going to open to calculate something? Second trace, good. All right, second trace from the menu, what do I want? 0. Let's just do the first one. It looks like it's in between -2 and -1. Are you seeing that? All right, so left bound, I'm going to put -2, enter. Right bound, I'm going to put -1, enter. And then your guess can be anything between -2 and -1. So let me do -1.5. And it will tell you the answer. Oh, it actually is -1.5. What is that in fraction form? Good, -3/2 goes in the little box. Is our countdown in order? Yes, all right, 2, -13, 4, 42. Your remainder will be 0. If you're nervous about multiplying by a -3/2, guess what you get on this problem? A calculator. I can't then take it away from you. You get the calculator. Okay, we're going to bring down the 2. -3/2 times 2. The 2's would cancel. You would just get -3. Add, that would be -16. When you multiply those, negatives cancel. You will get 24. Add, you get 28. What is that one going to be? -40. Oh, -42. Yeah, because this is going to have to come out to 0. I was sitting there trying to do it in my head, but it's going to have to be 0. All right, what do those all divide by? 2. If you reduce it, you'll get 1, -8, 14. And I'm going to kind of keep this moving over here because I want to make sure I finish the last problem. It'll be x squared minus 8x plus 14 equals 0. And we're going to complete the square. So what would you add to both sides there? So this will be something squared. What's going to be the something? Good, x minus 4. This side will be 2. Square root, you'll have x minus 4 equals plus and minus square root of 2. And I'm going to write the answer on the line. You would add the 4 over. So 4 plus and minus square root of 2. And if you do that, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take off a point because there's one more thing that we're missing. What do I still need to put here? The -3/2. So just don't forget. And that's kind of why I did this. How many answers are you going to get? Right next to that line, you can make sure you got the correct number of answers. All right, I'm typing in this last one here. We can do it. All right, I got that one typed in. We're looking for where it touches the x-axis. So where do you see this touching the x-axis? -1 goes in the little box. Now, before I take the calculator off of here, we will get to do -1 again. Why? Because it bounces. All right, so we're going to get to do that twice. So put -1 in the little box. You're going to need to write kind of small here. Your countdown's in order. There we go. Double checking myself here, make sure I didn't mess it up. But if you end up with 0, then you know you did it right. And again, you'll have a calculator for it. You should get 1, 2, 9, -52, -60. I'm not hearing any complaining. All right, do -1 again. Again, you're going to get 0. And we are going to have to divide out one more time. And I have 8 minutes. I promise we'll finish this question and still have some time. Go ahead. Yeah, your numbers here might be a little different, but at the end, we're going to get the same thing. Why do I know I need to divide out a third time, though? I guess I should have put this answer on here first. How many answers are we going to get? 5. You need to get this down to a quadratic. You need to get it down to squared. So we need to divide out 3 times. Let me put the graph back up here. Where is the other place it touches? 3. Put 3 in the little box. Don't pack up on me. I told you we have 8 minutes. I'm going to finish this with time to spare. You should get 1, 4, 20, 0. All right, so off to the side, you're going to have x squared plus 4x plus 20 equals 0, and you're going to solve it just like you did this one right here. So subtract over the 20. And then add what to both sides? 4. Good. You guys have got that. So it'll be x plus 2 squared equals -16. Ooh, this is going to be imaginary. And how do I kind of know that already? Yeah, square rooting a negative. And also, if you look at the calculator, do you see any other zeros besides the ones we wrote? No. So if they're not there, then they have to be imaginary. So that'll be plus and minus 4i. I'm going to write the answer on the line. You would subtract over the 2. So it'll be -2 plus and minus 4i. And what else? Because there should be a total of 5. -1 and do you have to write that twice? Yes. Twins are still 2 people. And then 3.